is yelling on the train a death sentence now. Are we seeing another George Floyd moment? This came with a link that I think takes us to an article. So these articles can be problematic. I just want to put that out there for you guys. Sometimes these articles, if you're not subscribed, they will cut off the screen, and that's exactly what they did. So let me see if I could find quickly a YouTube video that will help. Hold on a second. All right, let me share this video here, I guess. Let me share this video. Yeah, so in the future, guys, certain sites, YouTube is a safe bet. Let me put it like that. YouTube is a safe bet in terms of links. Some of these newspaper sites are problematic. The World Stars, this, that, and the other can be a little bit problematic with bringing them up. All right, so we're going to check out this video called NYC Subway Chokehold Marine could still face charges in the death of Jordan Neely. You guys probably heard about this already. Let's play the video and then we'll discuss it.
Megardichian, a criminal defense attorney and legal analyst, talk more about all of this as, again, this case is getting national attention. Thank you so much for taking the time here to join us.
Thank you, Josh, so much. It's an honor.
So first off, we know right now that Marine was let go. He has not been charged. We do know that the DA says that they are looking at evidence, and the medical examiner's office calling this a homicide. Do we know at this point if charges could still be filed?
Yes, absolutely. Charges could still be filed and can be charged months after the incident. Josh, there's so much that goes through, that happens in an investigation for a case like this. It's a self-defense case, and there's more complications to it. It's not just about self-defense. They do have to interview the witnesses on the train. They have to go through video. And New York City has a long history when it comes to vigilantism and self-defense. And the key here is, was this Marine essentially in fear for himself or trying to protect others? And all of that usually takes a lengthy investigation.
And I do want to take you out live right now because this is actually a live image coming in from a rally that's being held where folks out there in New York City are asking for the DA to file those charges. Now, based on your legal experience, what are your thoughts on the fact that no charges have been filed thus far?
Well, it's normal. Josh, it's a case where you have a young man who did try to subdue someone. It doesn't seem like there's any intent to kill. It looks like he was trying to subdue, calm down the person. And it shows you because there were two other witnesses that tried to help him subdue the young man. What's really unfortunate in a case like this also, what complicates matters, is it looks like the system also failed the victim. This young man was 24 years old. He had a history of, the Marine was 24 years old. The victim was a young man who had just serious mental illness, a tragic life where his mother was killed in a very violent way. His aunt came out and said that he needed a lot of help. It's just a tragedy all around, and he never got the proper help. And then you also have people in New York who are scared to death of crime. The crime rates have gone up. They don't feel protected. And a lot of people do feel like they have to take their defense in their own hands. So it's unfortunate. And I just hope the discussion continues, both when it comes to giving proper help to those who are mentally ill. And also maybe New York City can really help in proactive policing like they used to.
Does it make it more difficult for investigators in a case like this when honestly the eyes of the nation are on them? People across the country are paying such close attention to this case. How does that affect how investigators go about doing their jobs?
Oh, Josh, it's always a part of every criminal case. When the eyes of the world are on you, you want to make sure that you dot every I and cross every T. You don't want to make a mistake. You have a minority victim here. There's always going to be an underlying issue of was race involved? And then you have an issue of self-defense. and whether people should have a legitimate right to protect themselves and protect others. New York doesn't want to get it wrong. They've been in the news for a lot of reasons. There's been a lot of press on the dangerousness of the subway system. In this case, they don't want to make a mistake. Again, when the eyes of the world are looking at you, you want to show that you're prosecutorial, but that you're compassionate. So they want to make sure that they don't make a wrong move. And when I say they, I mean the mayor and the district attorney's office. They have a lot to consider. It's not a black and white case here. There's a lot underneath.
And you kind of touched on this here, but why do you think so many people across the country are paying such close attention to this case? You've seen it making national headlines, people on social media posting the video and sharing their thoughts. Why is that?
I think because it's sad all around. You have a young victim who really had a horrific existence, right? Where a mother was slaughtered, where he looks like the system failed him. You have a young Marine, an ex-Marine, who seemed like he was just trying to subdue someone who inspired fear in others. It doesn't look like this young man did anything other than crazy words, essentially. Not only do you have a race issue where you have two different ethnicities involved, but you also underneath it have mental illness issues. And I think it strikes a chord, especially when there's so many families dealing with mental illness, where they have a loved one who they beg for help, and there just isn't a system in place where there's help given. I think we can all say if this victim had mental help in some capacity, would we be in this position? As a criminal defense attorney, it crushes me that it's another mentally ill person where he's not understood, where help wasn't given, where he became a victim, and also a Marine who seemed like all he was trying to do was subdue someone because he was trying to defend others. It's just a tragic story all around, I think, for everybody, no matter where you are on the issue. It's just a hard thing to see.
And of course, we know this was all caught on camera. It's been circulating not just on social media, but all over YouTube and other platforms there. How does that change an investigation when you literally have the incident caught on camera and so many people across the country have seen it?
It's true, Josh. I mean, we always say as criminal defense attorneys, honestly, video is always a great thing for us. But you also want a full video, not just of the incident, but what led up to the incident. And in a case like this, that's most important because it doesn't tell the full story. We know the Marine had him in a chokehold, but we're not really sure about what happened before that. We know that witnesses said that this young man was screaming essentially, "I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I don't care if I spend the rest of my life in state prison, I don't care anymore." But we need to see what was done for this Marine to feel like himself or others were in danger. Because I will tell you, Josh, if in fact it wasn't clear that there was any danger, it's unlikely he wouldn't be arrested by now. Or the fact that witnesses tried to also subdue this young man. Also, the Marine waited for the officers to come to the scene. The train operator called the police. So there's a lot going on that needs to be explained just beyond the snippet of video that's been circulated.
And really briefly, once again, I do want to pop up this live image coming in. This is a protest and rally being held there in New York City where folks are asking for charges to be filed against this Marine. So do social media and the cries for change like this circulating all play any kind of role in how the case is investigated? Do we have investigators actually taking this into account?
You know, Josh, I think it would be, no matter what, with criminal defense these days in the age of social media, it does have a huge impact because it's different when the eyes of the world are on you and when social media takes a platform. You know, they release names, they release issues, and it gets almost a gang mentality involved where they might not have the full story. You know, we can't forget that a lot of times investigations, a lot of it is private. They don't release all of the information. So I think investigators in this arena need to be really careful what they release, how they go forward. And regardless of the decision they make, I really do believe in a case like this, in all cases like this, full transparency is absolutely necessary to show people that the system does work, or at least that full analysis has been given for whatever charges are made or not made.
One thing that's always interesting is, the medical examiner has said his death was a homicide. And so many people seem to equate homicide with murder, and they're not necessarily the same thing. So I think in a lot of cases, that's what people hear, but they're really just not the same.
Exactly. There's an intent issue. Especially a case like this, it doesn't look like the Marines' intent was to kill. It seemed like the intent was to subdue. Unlike in other cases where, again, national media cases where the victim says, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. In this case, it looks like the victim was still moving around. He was still trying to get out of the chokehold and was fighting back, necessitating 2 additional witnesses to try to subdue him. So homicide is a very tricky thing because it's also intent, and intent is always analyzed as a primary issue when it comes to charges being delivered. And this could be charged as a manslaughter, where intent isn't really necessary. It really depends what comes out from those witness statements and other videos that are not redacted or small pieces in time.
And it's so true because people hear homicide and just automatically equate it to murder. Now, the real question is, what happens next in the investigation here? What is the next step?
All witnesses need to be interviewed. All videos need to be watched and subpoenaed. And honestly, the Marine is going to be interviewed over and over and over again to make sure to find out what is exactly his purpose, why he thought he needed to either protect others or protect himself. And also, this standard is very much objectively. Would anyone in his position feel like they were in danger or other people were in danger? Would his inaction have caused some kind of danger to himself or others? By the time that is figured out, it's going to take some time. And if charges are being filed, again, they should be filed within 60 to 90 days, I would imagine. I don't think New York is going to want to delay this, because the more they delay, the more media attention is really going to surround needless delays.
So yeah, I wanted to play. I really want to play the whole video to tell the truth, because the whole video tells a whole story, right? But let me just say this first and foremost. One of the reasons why I want to play that full video is because I want Black folks to listen to how white folks stage and create these narratives. If you listen to this narrative, it's a bullshit narrative. And what gets me is that a lot of Black folks will watch this thing and not be angered by how these guys are sitting up here in the public eye, creating this narrative of sympathy for this white boy who killed this Black man on the train station. We supposed to be angered by that shit. We supposed to look at that and say, wow, look at this bullshit that they're doing. More of us, not just a few of us. Number one. Number two, I want to send a message to Black people again, a second message. When y'all see a white person fucking with a Black person, don't go and help that white person. Like, who is that Black fella there holding this man's hands while this guy is choking this man, a bare naked chokehold for 15 fucking minutes? Who is that Black guy? Like, it's time to straighten some shit out amongst Black folk. This is why I always talk about having a fucking standard. A lot of y'all don't have a standard. Y'all think that's cool. Oh, look at this white boy subduing. Let me go and help him. No, what are you doing? You're supposed to kick that white boy in the face. What the fuck are you doing? And already, by the way, the narrative is being painted because New York has a high immigrant population that this guy is an immigrant, a tether, who helped this white boy kill this guy. I don't know if that's the case or not, but what the fuck was you doing, black man? Anyway, in the chat, a couple of people showed up. Bakari showed up. Trigger Happy 262 is here. Provide triggers for evolution. She's here. Bakari says peace and black power to everyone. Lero says peace, loved ones. Bakari said those two other people should be in prison too, even though I prefer them in a casket. I agree with that. You know, Tanzana's here saying habari to everyone. But Bakari says, how was he fighting back? This guy was barely putting up a struggle. You know, KW Don 7 is with us. Amanda, actually, I haven't seen that name in a minute. Thanks for coming through. Right? Yeah, these white folks are on code, Trigger. These guys are right in front of you on national television creating a narrative. But without further ado, let me welcome in Real Black Gentleman this week. How are you this week, RBG?
Oh, I'm good, y'all. You want me to lead off? Oh, I mean, this is the thing, right? She's a defense attorney, right? So, like, she's naturally going to try to, like, frame a narrative as a defensive. This is the whole point, right? But you know that a black man in a similar situation would never be afforded that level of, like, deference. And you know, she was like, oh, we need to make sure we get all the evidence right. You know why? So that they can craft the narrative, even refine it even further. You understand that, right? That's the whole point of trying to get, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, you know, there's a difference between homicide and murder. People just assume, no, I know what the fuck the difference between, I know that murder is a type of manslaughter. That's not like, you know, the streets know that. You know, this is it's an assault to an intelligence. But naturally, you see what I'm saying? Like, black people, look, I mean, I saw that, you know what I'm saying? I was saying the same thing, like, you know what I'm saying? You can't, you know what I'm saying? Lay a blow in, you know what I'm saying? To break up the situation, like, there's something there that's, of course it's off. You're just sitting there watching this dude, like, there's no excuse for it. This dude is trying to, like, play the, like, you know, weak man, strong man situation where it's like, I felt weak, knowing good and well that he is trained as a Marine. That's a whole other angle. They're going to say that, well, he's a soldier, and you know what I'm saying? He was a soldier. So, you know, it's all good. It is what it is. But, like, it's like, you know, Michael Xavier Johnson was a soldier, right? You see? You start, you know, sieving shit between the different sides, between, you know, black folks and white folks, and all of a sudden it's a difference. This dude is clearly, you could have let that, you don't choke. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to say, well, if I would have let him go, he might have attacked me, so I had to kill him because I felt weak? You know, that weak man, strong man kind of argument. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I'm strong, but I felt weak. How? That dude knew what he was doing. He murdered that nigga. He murdered that black man right there, and like everyone else is just standing there, like not knowing what to do. You cannot let you there's no reason. I mean, you got to do something. You got to break up the situation. You got to, like, it's a train that's going to stop at some point, and then, you know what I'm saying? You got to go for broke. You got to go for broke. You cannot sit there. What is that? He's trying to grab on the man's arm. Like, why are you grabbing on that man? Why are you grabbing on the man's arm who's like why are you not grabbing on the other man's arm? What, you're afraid he's going to choke you or something like that? You gotta break. This is weak. It's pathetic. Look at this man. I'm just trying to, like, move his arms around and try to, like, come on, you got come on, man. You know what's going on. And naturally, you know what I'm saying? This disgusting portrayal of what happened, you know what I'm saying, with this woman. I mean, it was extra. I mean, it's extra, like, sympathetic, extra cautious, extra deferent. You know, social media and people, you know what I'm saying? It's like she's trying to, like, play the sterile situation that's trying to sterilize, you know what I'm saying? The whole, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, you know what I'm saying? You know, That's not this, you know, I get it, you know what I'm saying? I would assume I would want a defense attorney. I would want a Johnny Cochran on my team, of course. You know what I'm saying? I get the defense it. You know what I'm saying? This is extra though. I get it. That's extra. There's a lot of extra stuff that she put out there that's naturally offensive, naturally from the black folks' intelligence. I'm gonna yield back my time.
Now I feel your frustration. There's some asshole out here with a horn to keep going off out here. So forgive if you hear a horn in the background, forgive it. But yeah, this is, I mean, let me hear from D-Web. D-Web, how are you this week?
Hey, what's going on? You hear me, bro?
Yes, sir. I hear you loud and clear. How are you?
Yes, I'm good, bro. How you doing over there, man?
I'm hanging in.
All right. So my initial thoughts on this whole incident. First and foremost, man, you got 3 grown men that I count at minimum in that scene, yo. 3 grown men plus the cameraman. Like, how could you not subdue this 130 pound man on the subway? From what I heard, you know, you're in New York, so you probably know better than me. It's pretty common for crazy people to run all through the here yelling. You know, yeah, it's crazy town down there, right? So this is kind of a common occurrence for somebody to go out there and flip out. You know, the only thing to me that begot murder or begot violence is more violence, and I haven't heard nobody say that he touched anybody yet. You feel me? So to me, it's like, what's up with that? Going into the blood choke that he applied. If you had the most minimum of combatives, right? He was a military, he's a Marine. He should know that it takes less than 15 seconds to pass somebody out from a rear naked choke. You know what I'm saying? If you applied it properly. I don't even know if you know what the hell you're doing just because you're a Marine. It's plenty of Marines that are supply guys. It's plenty of Marines that are like financial bitches. You know what I mean? So you can't always assume that everybody's a killer, yo. It is plenty of Marines who ain't went nowhere but San Diego. You know what I'm saying? So unless you hear somebody's actual resume as to his military experience, but if he had basic combatives, a white belt will tell you it takes less than 15 seconds to pass somebody out. Anybody who's watched MMA fighting, as soon as they lock that rear naked in, those people tapping. As soon as the arm goes under the chin, they're tapping. You know, so to me, 15 minutes is ridiculous. That at least warrants a manslaughter in any case to me. But honestly, I'm just kind of tired of this conversation. I feel like this conversation happens every 3 to 6 months. That this happens, you know, you're going to see somebody killed, you know, white boy killing a black man or something, and then you're going to hear the outrage, and then it's going to be something else in another month. We're going to be talking about the election. We're going to talk about what Donald Trump did, what you know, McDonald's burgers he ordered for what team or whatever. It's like, I feel like a loop. And when I don't feel his conversations as being productive, like you said, yo, how many people's on that train? If once you get to the point where the man is passed out, why aren't you releasing the choke? Why is nobody kicking this man off this dude? Why is nobody saying anything? It's just multiple failures. If you look at New York in general, New York is a failure system. You have you there. It's more homeless people, more crazy people walking the streets in any urban environment right now. You're seeing this whole thing. Nobody's helping anybody. You have multiple just mentally ill people just walking around, not getting help. Okay. And now you have this extra politicized environment we in right now. You have this extra racialized environment we in right now, where you're going to see shit like this. And then you're going to see these people do this fake outrage and this fake fucking preaching and this fake this. And then everything's going to go to normal next month. And then 3 to 6 months, you're going to see the same shit again. So honestly, I'm just kind of tired of it. I become apathetic to this shit unless you're going to do something. You know, and I don't mean nothing. I mean, just even help the damn mentally to do something to even politicize to get help the mentally ill and the homeless out here, yo. You know, it's ridiculous. We ain't even talking about that point of it, that this brother was out here needing help. You know what I mean? This brother was out here needing services and shit. Nobody's providing nothing. What the fuck Adam's doing up there, bro? Not a damn thing. So, you know, this is a multiple failure on multiple fronts to me. So that's all I got, bro.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember this, but a couple of years ago, there was a woman found dead in a bit of luggage here in New Jersey, and it turns out that was this guy who got choked to death here. That was his mother when he was like 14 years old, who her boyfriend killed her, and so he's dealing with some shit. He was dealing with some stuff. D-Web was right, and as Black folks, with all these trained professionals in mental health, there's something we need to start doing too. Garvey them had the Black Nurses Brigade. What are we doing? What are our Black professionals doing to help Black folks out? But the thing that we can discuss about this, and I'm with D Web. I'm tired of the topic too. I'm tired of this scene. But this wasn't a cop. This wasn't a cop where you might have felt afraid to get him up off of the guy, like in the George Floyd case, when those Black folks stood around there screaming at the cop. This was just some regular white boy, and instead of getting involved and helping this Black man, this Black fucker in the video is helping is holding this Black man's hands. And I want to get through to Black people, like, when you see a Black person in distress, your job is to help them. Your job is to give them help, especially if it don't involve no cop who might, draw down on you and all that kind of stuff. But even then, Tupac opened up fire on some undercovers one time, right? Who was beating up a guy. Like, what are we doing, man? Let's welcome in Observing Immigrants. Marcus Garvey is the way this week. Haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. You
That's all
heard
you
everything
can do,
Webb had to say. That's all you could do. You heard what Webb and RBG had to say. What say you?
Well, first of all, I'm tired seeing Black people make excuses as to why this man had to be killed. Like every other Black person, every time a Black person is killed by a white person, there's always a handful of Black people who justify it. And I say, where's the white people that question their serial killers or their school shooters? Like, they're never on the public platform going, oh, these kids are no good, let's address it. But a Black man gets killed and we jump on the bandwagon as to why he should have been killed. And that part is very tiring. I don't know if y'all noticed, just before, I want to say a couple of months ago, there was a story going around about why they were talking about Emmett Till's dad had committed some kind of rape, and they were looking into Emmett Till's dad's history the other day. And I was seeing a lot of the YouTube algorithm was showing that. I guess it was around the time that Emmett Till had been killed. And I'm like, so now we're justifying Emmett Till's murder too. And it doesn't make sense, because this is the same society that watched the Netflix Dahmer show, and people were like, oh, he's sexy. So you understand that you're dealing with a level of psychosis, and the psychosis might be what do you call it, contagious, because the stupidity is clearly running across the races, both Black and white. Because as a Black person, if as you said, this man didn't commit any violent acts, how does that equate to him being choked out to death? People have justified George Floyd, oh, he was an addict and stuff. Whether he was an addict or not, that could easily have been you. And keep in mind that somebody else would make an excuse that you should have been killed the same way. With that said, just this afternoon, I was down in my own neighborhood, and we had gone to like the popular area, where the restaurant stuff are. My kids had to go to the pharmacy, and there was this white man in the middle of the street. His pants was around his ankles, stark naked in the middle of the road, and everybody's laughing. People are watching, and that's a popular area where sometimes families are there, a lot of teenagers and stuff. Because my daughter noticed it first before I did. And the police took a minute to come. They actually had to shut down the pharmacy because they said that he came out the pharmacy and then started carrying on. So they shut down the pharmacy just as a precaution. The police passed him. I'm like, they didn't notice that this man is naked? Like, is it because he's white they're not seeing the rest of the picture? It took a minute for them to realize that he was literally on the opposite side of the road. And this is not no huge road. This is a 2-lane road. They eventually pulled up next to him, and they stood around him. They didn't touch him, nothing. It was almost 5 minutes. And I shut it up my window. I was like, treat him like you're Black and shoot him. But, they're not paying attention to me. So, but he's there. And it took them almost 5 minutes before he was like handcuffed and then put in the van. We're living in a country where, and as immigrants, we're living in a country where not even Black people want to collectively, you have people who, as you say, are off code. There are too many Black people who still get up and say, yeah, this man was justifiably killed. We don't say that about the school shooters. The white people don't care. They commit heinous crimes, and none of them ever come up and be like, oh, little Scooter the shooter, all these bad qualities he had, and why don't we just question the the white society, and why does suburbia create serial killers and all this stuff? But we're always the first to jump out loudest as to why we should be killed, or why we had been killed. It's just ridiculous, and America is getting very tiring for that. I'm sorry. That's all I have to say.
I appreciate that. Marcus Garvey is the way. Let's hear from Buana. Buana, what say you to all this?
Okay, so I listened to all arguments, and what I would say to it is I could try to stick within the confines of what I saw and what I heard from the defense attorney. I'm not going to talk about the external issues. So on the face of it, she said an objective person and put into that situation would have done the same thing. But for him, the standard of so-called objectification is a little bit higher. Why? Because he is a trained soldier. He understands some things coming into that situation, which means, I think the Brother Harsh Reality podcast, he mentioned the term like bare naked chokehold, something like that, right? Now, if a soldier are put into that situation, any other soldier, just pick a soldier, put into that situation, understanding that if I put a particular person in this restraint position for 15 seconds, they would become unconscious. Now, he understood that going in, but he put that particular guy in a chokehold for more than 15 seconds. So most soldiers would understand, if I was to cut off a person's ear for more than 15 seconds, what would possibly happen? So the fact that I did that establishes intent. It establishes intent. You know what I mean? So I see a murder case there. Also, the fact that the people who was restraining him, they say that they were subduing him. If I am fighting for air, of course I'm going to try to get myself out of the position because I can't breathe. So the fact that these guys was assisting this guy in stopping this guy from being capable of breathing, they are responsible too, because they assisted in this man's murder. Because I could see intent there. So three of these guys need to be in jail. As far as him being homeless, I deal with homeless. Well, we deal with homeless people in every country. We deal with people who are mentally disturbed in any country. I can't say for certain if I was in this situation, right? And because I was in New York before, and I'm in the Bahamas right now. I remember the brothers coming on the train, bare feet, looking disheveled. Some of them singing songs and doing all kind of nonsense. If I was put in that position, and this dude say, "I'm ready to die today," and he's throwing around shit and things, like, I don't know how I would respond. I really don't know. But if I feel like if I felt unsafe, I might have responded, maybe not in a chokehold, or maybe I would have pushed him back. I don't know what I would have done. I see crazies out here every other day. Now, some of them are not violently crazy, if that's the term. Some of them are crazy, and they are criminally crazy. That means they'll do something against you. So I don't know how I would respond and react in the situation. It is not on the face of it for the Garveyites in the room to see that. I understand the sentiment, but I would only ask the Garveyites in the room, if you was put into the situation, if this was a black soldier or a black man, just a typical black man, and he was confronted and put into that situation, and you had the wherewithal to say, I need to defend myself, what would you have done? Curious to know. And I'm curious to know whether it would get such airtime and airplay. I don't know, especially from Fox News. You know what I mean? Because they like to weave narratives. I'm making an excuse for what the man did. I feel like there was intent there, because he would have known putting a man in a choker like that, coming in, could possibly threaten a man's life or kill him, but he still did it anyways. You know what I mean? But I don't know if I was in that situation, if I would then did the same thing too. And I don't know if it would go on Fox News. That's a whole other story. Because it would have been two black men killing one black man killing another black man. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it would make it to Fox News. But just sticking within the confines of what I see, you know what I mean, and understanding, I think that she was weaving a legal fiction for him. But there's an other side to that, and any attorney worth his salt, any person who went to law school would have seen the glaring other side to that scenario, which means an objective soldier put into that position who would have known that that act itself alone would have threatened that man's life or take that man's life after 15 seconds, and he still did it anyway. He in problems. But I'll stop there to be brief.
I appreciate that, Buana. In the chat, Amanda Ashley says, I mean, but what about the mental health of the Marine? Why he ain't get no help before committing homicide? I'm just saying. She also said, madness is absolutely contagious. Coach Pete is here. Shout out to my boy, Coach Pete. D Webb in the chat said, honestly think they're all feds. To be honest, getting in my conspiracy by it. The way they're dressed, stance, checking if he's conscious by lifting the arm, the backpacks, etc. We in a psyop season. Just a theory. I could see that too, because I did look at the black guy and I'm like, he the hat and all that kind of stuff, and then no one's talking about it. No one's really talking about him. I found that kind of strange. But with that said, and I have Candace Owens up on the screen. I'm going to play something from her. Actually, before I get to the last panelist who just joined us, let me play a little bit of this Candace Owens thing real quick.
For you, because I'm not feeling very compassionate about Jordan Neely, and that shouldn't surprise you. And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about why it is that we suddenly exist in a society where mentally ill are being told that they need to yield to mentally ill people. All of that needs to end. Later on in the show, we're going to discuss, of course, Russia and Ukraine. That seems to be heating up, and you should be paying attention to it because somebody attempted to assassinate Vladimir Putin. And by somebody, I don't mean Zelensky or NATO, because they have no idea who it was that could have possibly sent a drone over to Finland. Yeah, things are getting very serious. And as I said, we need to be paying attention to it. All that and more today, coming up on Candace Owens. They ended up in the streets because, as I said, they have a steep history of mental illness. They've been on drugs. They were willing, you've seen Intervention on A&E, right? They were willing to abandon their family and their friends for the next hit. That is average homeless person in New York City. They are not somebody to be feeling bad for. They are somebody to be fearful of. That is the truth. That is the truth that the Democrats on the left do not want you to acknowledge because it's coddle culture. They want you to feel bad when you see a maniac that is threatening to harm you. So a man who was a off-duty journalist, his name is Juan Vasquez, recounts exactly what took place as he was on this subway on his way to Yonkers at about 2:30 p.m. on a Monday. And here is what he had to say in his own words. Take a listen.
The man began shouting, quote, "I want food. I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm ready to go back to jail, and I'll hurt anyone on this train."
The man got on the subway car and began to say a message saying that he was hungry, he was thirsty, and he didn't care about anything. He didn't care about going to jail, that he didn't care that he gets a big life sentence, and it doesn't matter if he died.
Vasquez says he was scared and believes others on the train were too. When he's a 24-year-old rider came up behind the man and put him in a chokehold.
He tried to remove his arm, and then when they had it on his side, he kept kicking. So he thought that he's defending himself.
So he said, quote, "I'll hurt anyone on this train," according to Juan Vasquez, who was there. "I will hurt anyone on this train." And Juan Vasquez says that he, a grown adult man, felt fear because a rational mind would feel fear if a person who looked like a vagrant jumped on the plane and jumped onto a train and said that they were willing to go to prison, that they did not care, that they were willing to die, and that they would, quote, "hurt anyone on this train." But pardon you.
So I just wanted to play a little bit of it. Of course, Candace Owens takes that stance. Let let me be honest with y'all about New York. That idea that a vagrant, a Jones or whatever, walks on a train talking about they want food and they'll go back to jail, ain't no New Yorker sitting up there afraid like that. I'm gonna tell you all the truth. I live out here and I've been living out here. Ain't no New Yorker sitting here shaking in their boots about some vagrant talking about he's hungry and want to eat and all that kind of stuff. Unless there's action where someone got hemmed up. Ain't no one sitting down afraid. Now, people be watchful. People keep their eyes, and their head on the swivel, but ain't no one sitting down here afraid. That's some made up bullshit. Now, maybe that little Spanish fella, maybe he felt afraid, perhaps. But this idea that a train full of people was afraid, that's nonsense in New York. I'm telling you that.
But hold on, though, Koku. Hold on for a second, though. You are dealing in a city which is a metropolitan city. You have people from all over the world may have been on that train. So the New Yorkers, the local New Yorkers may say, "Man, this man just talking." But someone from another country, if you hear them words being uttered, they getting ready. You know what I mean? They getting ready. And the first, I'm telling you, man, the first move, I'm moving. The first move. Because I guess it's perspective and where you coming from, but it's like you on an open train with all kinds of different people from all kinds of places on the planet. You know what I mean? So whereas the New Yorkers might say, "Well, Smarty just talking," some brothers on that train who are not from New York say, "This is an open threat. Let me get ready. Let me get straight up." You know what I mean? So I just think it's an interpretation and meaning. That's just me.
A quick question: Did the people that killed him, were they New Yorkers? The man that put him in the chokehold and the other ones that assisted, were they New Yorkers?
Yeah, the white boy is from Long Island. It sounds like his dad is a police sergeant or something like that out there. Yeah, these are New York people.
Okay, so those New Yorkers felt threatened to the point that they killed this other New Yorker. Then, so
Nonsense.
No, but I'm just saying because that's what thing just said that the white guy felt threatened enough to kill, right? I'm just saying, like that would be his justification. Everybody else felt threatened, so he felt that he should step in and just kill this guy, to satiate the situation. Yeah, that would not be the rationality, because that would be what his lawyer would try to say, right?
Barbados, I'm just saying that, let's play devil's advocate. I'm just saying on the defensive end of that scenario, if you make an open threatening statement like that, there's justifiable cause for you to think this man is capable. He have nothing to lose. He looks like a vagrant. Let me finish. Come on, Israel. Can I finish? Can I finish, though?
You can't.
Yes, but I was talking before you, though, bro. I was talking. Let me finish.
But that's the point. Both people are making a similar point. Y'all are just blended the points. Yes,
you make an open statement like that,
and
absolutely.
And Koku is saying, well, nah, New Yorkers don't feel threatened. But the person who killed him was a New Yorker. It wasn't like it wasn't a New Yorker. So I'm just trying to blend both points. Yes, a person would feel threatened.
But Barbados, Koku can't speak for 8 million people. He's speaking from the perspective that he understands how New Yorkers. That's Bernard Getz he said he was threatened. He was from New York City. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't speak for 8 million people. You know what I mean? Some people legitimately feel fear. If you make a statement, I'm hungry and I'm scared to go back to prison and I'm scared to hurt nobody by that's the open threat. You know what I mean? I don't know.
But I still feel everybody's just missing the point that the man said he's hungry. Nobody tried to feed him, and I know somebody on that train had food. We're caught up with the rest of the sentence, but the man, come on, if you were hungry, maybe you would be in that situation. Yeah?
So Barbados, that's the way to ask for food. Then if I hungry,
maybe he was asking nice and he got to the point. Those words sound like a desperation. The sentence structure is desperation.
Ask me for $1. Ask me for $2. Don't threaten I going back to prison and I ain't scared to hurt nobody. That's the way to ask for food.
But we don't know if he was asking for hours and his mouth no dry and he ain't got nothing else to say but to threaten everybody. We don't know. He could have been asking for hours. Come on, how many homeless people do you pass and don't give a cent to? Because no,
Man,
I don't give money to men.
That's come on now. If you're hungry and you steal bread, you go to a store and you steal food off the shelf, you know. And I ain't justifying this brother's murder, but I think that whole like hungry. I think he was having a mental episode. But I don't that whole like, oh, he's hungry and thirsty, bro. You know how many stores you could steal? I used to fucking steal shit when I was a kid all the time. That was
me too.
Yeah. You go steal some shit. It's so much. You can go to bodega right now and come up. Even if you got caught up, and if you get caught, you go to jail, and you get more free meals, right? And you're out in the morning. So that to me that nah, because I've gave homeless people food. I've tried to buy some of these dudes food before. Like hell no, I want the money. They get pissed. So I'm not trying to anecdotal evidence anything, but I can't say that like, oh, I need food and water, so I'm gonna go on the train and threaten people for who the fuck got you think people on train got a loaf of bread in their backpack or something? Come on, bro. That's not an excuse to me. Nah. You know, this was some bull garbage, but I don't like that. I don't like that narrative right there, yo.
Let me just before I welcome in a couple of people who joined, like Ozuli, whose voice y'all heard. Let me just say, I might not be able to speak for the millions and millions down to a T, but I'll tell you, I've been in New York long enough. If a person came on a train, car, and people felt threatened like that, they move off to the next car. And everyone's on alert. Everyone gets on alert, and if people really feel that afraid, they move to the next car. But this idea that this guy came on here and there's just panic and pandemonium is nonsense. Not in New York. I'm promising you that. And there's other New Yorkers here who we'll get to right now. Ozuli, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm gonna say something that's different than everybody. Like, I think this shit is a psyop, but that's me. But
well, D-Web said that.
The worst thing is it was three white men holding a black man down. Whether what Goku said is true, I'm not saying. I've seen homeless people come on the train and yell while we are on alert. But if something starts going down, people move to another cart. But also, Goku, that depends, because sometimes they start closing out the carts, you can't move in and out. But what this man did there's no justification for that. If this shit really happened, what I'm saying is this: you hold the men down, and they say that this man is in the Navy or in the Army. You know what that chokehold does, right? Why don't you leave? You could release pressure, keep pressure. Release pressure, keep pressure. What happens right here is the murdering of a black man's image in front of the world. And not only that, Candace Owen participated, and now this Hispanic man, how you don't speak English but you understand what he said? How you don't speak English but you have a whole story where the man was saying, or he was saying that he was saying this and the third? To be honest, this is, to me, it's worse than if it didn't happen. It's the murder of the black man's image. Straight up. 3 men holding a black man down, whether it's like it was from Long Island, bro. You know how many homeless people that act erratically in the train station? Who are you to end another person's life? And of course, they're gonna use a chokehold the same way they use a chokehold for George Floyd. I look at this shit totally differently. But at face value, I'm gonna have to agree with Goku. Is that, yo, bro, that man did not deserve to die over somebody asking for food, even if he's yelling. Because you know why? If you were scared, why are you scared? If you saw, did he have any weapons on? Who are you? If there's no weapon on, like black New Yorkers, most of us will either exit to go to the next car. If the man is trying to do something, people will step up. But I bet you, if there was a black man that was holding in a chokehold, that man would have never died. If it was a group of brothers that was holding him down, that would have never happened. And for the worst thing out of this, that the brother died, is Candace Owen. And I'm gonna be clear. I follow Candace Owen, even though she's a retard. Like, for her to say that is very disturbing.
But she never changes her narrative. So I mean, come on.
All right, let's welcome in
Like,
Oni
and then
this week. Oh, wait, hold on. Azuli, I thought you were done.
yeah, go ahead, do your thing. Go ahead.
All right. Plus, you have an echo in the back there. It sounds like you're listening to YouTube or something. Let's welcome in Oni this week. Oni, how are you?
Yeah, so I'm cool. For this issue, I don't ride the train too much. I remember one time I was riding the train though late at night. I don't know what happened. I think I was feeling good because you know how I am, right?
Well, late at night is different. Late at night is different.
Wait, what time was this?
This happened 2:30 in the afternoon.
Oh damn! But all right, so I was shit. But I was riding there late at night. And I had a few drinks. I guess this other guy had a few drinks. Okay. I don't know what's happening. Some lady has her kid with her, like a minor or whatever. And the guy, he comes in erratic and he's all, I guess he notices me and he's like, yo, watch your fucking mouth, man. There's a kid right here. Shut the fuck up. Watch your mouth. And then he starts positioning himself closer to me. Now I'm kind of too drunk, so, I'm not going to say I was, trying to be confrontational because I was like, shit, I drank way too much. I'm not going to be able to throw up. I'm not going to be able to fight at this moment, right? But he's coming closer like, I bet you won't say shit again. I'll fucking kill you right here. I'll fucking, whatever. And I'm just like, and the lady with the child is just like looking at me like, don't engage him. Don't engage him. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously, nobody thinks the guy should have died, obviously. But, that's a situation where it's like I mean, the idea that people, I mean, because I know you said people don't feel threatened, but I was, in my mind, I'm like, shit, I can't die on this fucking train because, somebody has to be there for my kid. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. People are not really trying to risk their lives for unfortunately for you might say homeless people or mentally ill people or drunk people or whatever. People are not really trying to lose their lives over that. So I'm not, obviously, you shouldn't kill a person. But also, because I talk about that rear naked stroke all the time on my podcast, right? Obviously it's a killing move, right? But it's also what you would do, like what you would have to do to render a person unconscious. Obviously maybe not for 15 minutes. But the question comes back to, how a lot of us are saying, hey, look, this guy, because I didn't really follow the case. I'm not trying to sound like what the white boys are saying, but a lot of people, a lot of us are saying, hey, did the guy have a weapon? And it's like, you don't really have time to know. The trouble with the real world is that in the real world, you don't know what this threat is. And not just that, you don't know the threat of the people around you. Right? You don't know the threat of the people around you. Because like what we're saying is that basically what really happens is this guy walks onto a train and threatens everybody. It seems like, let's say that's the narrative that's being shared, right? And one of the guys is a Marine. Among, and probably the other ones were police officers. We don't know, right? It seems like everybody else cleared out. It seems like nobody showed up to stop the guy. Obviously, I don't think it should have went that far, but I don't it's kind of like what Bonner was saying. I got to throw Bonner here, but it's kind of like what Bonner was saying in the sense of what are you supposed to be doing in the event of somebody coming on seeming like they're going to injure somebody, seeming like they might just shoot somebody, seeming like they might just stab somebody, seeming like they might attack somebody. And I mean, I get the idea that, oh, maybe you should wait for them to shoot somebody, or wait for them to stab somebody, or wait for them to hit somebody, right? But you know, like the question being, let's say if you're the Marine, or you have a hero complex, or if you like if you just say, you know what, I've seen this before and I know how this ends, and if I just act quicker, you know, so on and so forth. Again, would you kill the person? No. But you know, unfortunately, like I said, in the real world, when you get into it, like, you don't go into fights with people, because when you go into fights with people, you don't know, like usually people are fighting to the death. If somebody's not breaking up the fight, people will fight to the death. You know, I was telling that to one of my ex-girlfriend I had, you know, like, don't pick fights on the fucking subway, because if nobody breaks up the fight, somebody could possibly die. You know, and I actually saw a video of these children fighting outside of school, and you know, they were jumping each other. At one point, one kid got the advantage of the other one, started stomping on the kid, and looked like he snapped the kid's neck. You know, I'm saying all that to say that, you know, I mean, obviously it's unfortunate for somebody to die, but you know, I think the idea that, well, if somebody comes onto a train and just threatens everybody, right, nobody should do shit, right? Or, you know, it's actually, you know, counter to what we're saying. Now, obviously, you know, you can say, well, it's a white guy, and it's a black guy, and all that kind of stuff. And I get that. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, like I said, if in the situation that I was in, where this guy was threatening to fucking kill me in a train, like, if I had my wits about me, I'm not saying I would fight the guy, but if I ended up fighting the guy, like how do you end the fight? It's an empty ass train. How do you end the fight?
But there was no fight. I mean, at the end of the day, there was no fight. You know.
Where? You mean when I was on the train?
No, between the two men, there was no fight. One man came up behind the other and just started chucking him out. So it wasn't a fight.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Well, because that's something. That's the real world. The real world is that nobody's, like, if somebody wants to, like nobody has to, like that's the real world. That's the trouble. Like, the real world is that it, like you live by some sort of social protocol that people do not go behind you and choke you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you live by this social protocol that people don't, but you also live by this social protocol that you don't just threaten people. You know? And then, like, when you break away from the fabric, like, yeah, somebody's probably gonna get the jump on you, because what are they, like, why would somebody wait for you to attack them? Like, in the real world. You know, so in the real world, if I'm like,
nah, I ain't gonna let you do that. This guy, listen, we live in New York City. We see this type of person all the goddamn time. This guy came on begging for food and drink or whatever, and getting rowdy, but this guy didn't hold nobody, he ain't slap nobody, he ain't lunge at nobody. At least that hasn't come out in the story. I'm sure they'll make that shit up later, right? But we don't hear nothing about him attacking anybody.
Goku, they're already saying he got arrested 42 times, and some reports said he trying to push somebody the night before on the subway track. They're already making shit up. I gotta agree with Goku on this one. No way.
Yeah, you just don't. If you're going to what's the word? If you're going to hold a guy down, pin him down. But this idea that you do a bare naked choker, we all know what the fuck that is. For 15 minutes? Nah, come on.
Yeah, the 15 minutes is long, but at the same time, it's like
no, there's no fucking at the same time. What are you talking about at the same time?
No, I'm saying, look, all right, if I'm being honest, what if you, like, realistically, you do want to be optimal with your attack. If you're going to attack somebody, you should be optimal.
Okay,
yo, what are you talking about? Black man got killed.
He was holding that dead body, and he had to know that body was dead for at least a good 8-10 minutes. Come on.
For somebody who's military trained, you know
I'm not saying 15 minutes is good. I'm not saying. Look, Like I said, I mean, I see that a black man was killed. Yes, but that's the thing. It's like I don't know what you would expect for threatening somebody. Like this guy, the guy who threatened me. The guy who threatened me. If I had my wits about me, I'm not saying I would kill him, right? But like, yeah, I would have fucked him up if I had my wits about me.
And then you went into jail unless the person invades your personal space. If the person isn't on the other side of the cart and you're on the other side and I'm making threats with my mouth.
No, the dude came up to me on the cart.
I'm talking about the other man. I'm talking about the man. You don't get, and I agree with Goku on this one. I don't mind the pinning down. I don't even mind if he had punched the guy. But for you to hold him, and then when I look at the video, I see what looks like 3 white men holding a brother down.
No, one of them is a black man.
It looks like one of them was a black man. But like, I'm not saying 15 minutes is good. No, 15 minutes is not good. But that's the whole thing. It's like, yeah, I mean, 15 minutes is obviously not good, right? But it's like you know what can I say? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Let's go to someone else right now. Let's go to Tanzan. Tanzan, what say you, dog?
Yeah, you know, it seems like one of those usual episodes where it just plays out the same from Trayvon to Floyd to all this stuff. Like if things are too quiet for too long, you know that something bad is just about to happen, and you know it almost seems right on time. You know, it's unfortunate and tragic the way the young man died, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. You know, it's a case of I'm just also, you know, questioning the not that there's no mental illness. It's just that, you know, usually it's the case that they don't really highlight the mental illness in Black people. They always try to say, oh, he was coming at us and something like that.
No, they did. His father said that he dropped out of high school. He didn't take his meds. They're already putting the thing in to let these people like. So
yes, that's what I'm saying. But usually the mental illness aspect is usually given to the treatment, you know, of white serial killers, and then Black people are just portrayed as, you know, gangsters and thugs and all this. You know, when George Floyd was taking down all these people, they were not portrayed as mentally ill. They were just taken as they were dangerous and so on. So I'm wondering if they're going to use the mental illness aspect to try to pin that or put a black face on it. Not that there's no mental illness in the Black community, and they definitely need it. But you know, I'm wondering, yeah. So I'll leave it at that for now before we go into conspiracy stuff. But I'll be back.
Let's welcome in Brother Bakari, who's been listening. Brother Bakari, you talked about this during your show this week. You guys make sure to check out that episode of Brother Bakari's podcast. Brother Bakari, what are your thoughts on this?
What's going on?
And what are your
peace to everybody on the chat, on the panel and in the chat. I'm gonna say this quick and get it out because I want to talk about this before his Zuli run from me. But anyway, like the mental illness thing, like it we know there's a lot of our people out here with mental illness, and in all honesty, it touched me because I got a brother going through this shit. I got a brother who lucky he ain't been killed.
Sorry,
because it go in and out, and with him, all of a sudden he can get angry, and he might throw a punch. He actually punched a couple of police, but I think these police understood. But the system don't help. They know he have mental problems, so we trying to get him help. But because he can come he might be okay for 5 minutes or 10 minutes today, and he in court, ain't nothing wrong with me. He has literally forgotten he has a daughter. He has literally forgotten he have any kids, daughter, son. He's forgotten he's married. He don't know nothing or nobody. But because he once said when he was okay for those 5 or 10 minutes in court that there's nothing wrong with him and he don't want no help. The court system, he's in Florida, the court system say, even though we his family, we can't say he needs help. But when we start to justify and listen to people like Candace Owens start justifying the murder of our people for having mental problems, something is wrong, not just with the system. We have to look at ourselves and look at the people who are listening to folks like Candace Owens. How is that okay? right? So when the guy came on and said, I want food, what Koku said is like my wife was from Brooklyn, and what Koku said about people on the train. And my homeboy is from the Bronx. And he was like, man, we hear that shit all the time. People come on screaming like, man, you watching, but ain't nobody really worried about them doing. So you just watch just to be on the safe side. But for the most time, ain't nobody doing that. That white guy who put that rear naked choke and those people that held his leg, they should all be charged. They should all be charged with something. But when Koku showed something today, I thought Koku was saying he was an ex-cop. His father's a cop, was an ex-cop. And they gonna look at him and they making like, oh, what they're doing, oh, the military, the American Marine saved people on the train. That's how they trying to twist it. That's how they trying to make it. This guy was a veteran. He was a Marine. And hate to say it, he's probably gonna get off, but man, we have to this mental health, this mental health it's very, very serious. One of my best friends had a brother that went through this mental health thing, and they had to grab him because he was one too that would get angry, and he was able to take medication to help him. It calmed him down a whole lot, and he's able to lead a regular life as long as he take his medication. And maybe if it was someone like him, I could see somebody trying, but they probably wouldn't have tried him. He was a defensive tackle, played in the CFL, 6'4", about 290 pounds. And when he had his episode, there's no anybody get close to him. As long as you don't get close to him and try to say nothing to him when he's going through that, he won't hurt nobody. But when he going through his episode, he would hurt. He would just start throwing people around. So, but his family was able to get him some help when he came down. But my brother, we haven't been able to get him any help, because when he had that little 10 minutes and he said he was okay, there's nothing wrong with him, he don't need no help, and something is absolutely wrong with him. He's in jail now for trespassing, going to somewhere, washing his clothes, telling people, I own this, you can't stop me from washing my clothes, it's something that I own, and so on and so forth. But we shouldn't be okay and shouldn't repeat nothing. Candace on it. I don't want to cuss on your panel, but yeah, people like that, man, and you want to make excuses. And I've already heard a few people trying to make excuses why. And then if they want to try to pull up his record, if he was arrested 42 times in 10 years, what was it for? Because he was arrested 42 times in 10 years and he ain't done no significant amount of time in jail. That let you know, like D Webb said earlier, he might have went in the store and stole a loaf of bread because he was hungry. Obviously, he didn't do nothing serious. 42 times in 10 years and he out. Obviously, he haven't done anything serious. He need help. And we don't care, because it's okay to get rid of them and people like us on that aisle.
Brother Bakari, don't go yet, because I have some questions to ask. Because I see homeless people, or people, and also people with psychological episodes on the road every day when I go into work. And sometimes I help, sometimes I don't help. In the situation that I talk to some of them, some of them brothers who,
I don't know if it's Mike or my thing, but
let me finish. I talk to some of them brothers sometimes.
I can't understand you is what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can talk clearer. Sometimes I see people on the road going to work who have psychological issues, right? Sometimes I'll take the time and I'll just have a conversation with one of them, right? And they go into their family's history, and it falls down to the same thing that you would have mentioned. Some of them have families who do care. Some of them have families who don't give a shit. Okay? Now, in your situation that you mentioned, your brother, he might suffer from psychological episodes, but he wouldn't be in a position where, man, I'm hungry and I can't find nothing to eat, so I have to threaten somebody to give me some. He know, I have a brother, my brother can give me some food. In the same instance, when I talk to some people on the streets of the Bahamas here, they'll say, oh, my sister, I can't live there, but she'll still, look out for me from time to time, give me food, whatever. And I've given these men food, money, clothes sometimes, and different kinds of things, right? Now, we look at the situation, you say, this is a bad situation. But I also hear the stories when you just mentioned that if y'all go to court to try to remind your brother to go into some kind of mental institution, he is sane enough to prove to the judge where he could take care of himself. So that means the state can't forcefully step in and make him go to a hospital, a psychological hospital. Me personally, and it's written in our Constitution that the state can step in and take people off of the street and put them into psychological institutions, right, to help and assist them, right? Now they don't enforce it, but you can do it. See, you could be a harm to yourself, and you could be a harm to others. If you suffer from a psychological episode, right, and you're in the middle of the street dancing, and something get in your head, and you throw a garbage tin in the middle of the street, I swerve with my family in the car, and I hit a lamp pole or some shit like that. You know what I mean? So in these kinds of instances, you are a threat to others as well, not only to yourself, you are a threat to others. But if I was to intervene and say, well, this man forcefully, since we can't, he need to forcefully put him in jail or put him in a psychological institution. And then everyone comes out and say, oh, yeah, justice for this person. This person shouldn't be kept in a situation like this. Oh, we can't harm, we can't do nothing, manhandle. What should be done to individuals like these? I mean, you don't want the families to step in. You don't want the state to step in. You just want them to be in the middle of the street, suffering from psychological episodes, and they could be threats to themselves or other people on the street. What should be done? Ask the question I'm asking.
Okay. I'm gonna use my family again. In our case, we really didn't want him to stay in a mental institution. We knew that's where he was gonna have to go to get some help, but we was hoping that they could give him some type of medication, like my brother got, like my best friend, like one of his brothers got, to help him. If he take his medication on a regular basis, help him live some type of normal life. Like you said, the family, we were okay, even though and I had to realize and I said it like this, like, man, my brother crazy. And I know he would be here. He wake up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, talking to God, speaking in tongues. I'm like, talk a little bit lower, man, because we trying to sleep. But that was my brother. And I didn't want him out there on the streets, whatever came with his problem. I was willing to help my brother. But the state, he was only like for 10. Now the state realized, because they have attorneys and we talk, they realized the mistake. They said they wish they could, but they can't because he was still in and out. But now, since he never got no medication and no nothing, and it been going on a while. So now it's like I said, now he has gotten to the point where he forgot his daughter. I think families should be able to intervene. Can families take advantage if they have something that the family won't? Yes, they can take advantage, I guess, if something is wrong, and they can try to steal from them. But that was not our case. That was not my friend. And they happened to be in Florida too, but they was able to talk to him when he came down when he was in his right mind, and tell him and say, you need some help. You need help. We can't keep going through this. We can't take care of you. You don't get no help. And he like, what did I do? Dude, you just beat up 15 white people. Huh? You just beat up 50, just walked down the street and got mad and just started throwing people around. But now that he got medication, I forget what it is. He had to take a pill. I think he take the pill 3 or 4 times a day. But he said it calming down and he's able to lead a regular life. And that's all we wanted. And that's what we wanted for our brother. So like you said, if the family ain't there, this young man, his mother had died. I don't know. I heard Azuli say something about his father, but I don't know what other type of family that he had. But no, do we think someone that's going to be a danger to people, should they be allowed just on the streets? No, they should not just be allowed on the streets, but we shouldn't just allow them to get them and just put them in the jail and have them doped up where they don't know nothing. If we're going to get them off the streets, it should be a system where they could at least get some real help. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
No, I feel you, bro. I agree. You know, I think that the state should be allowed to step in with the assistance of families, understanding that some of these people do have families who still care, but their hands are tied. But there are also people out there who families don't give a shit. They pass their family members every day on the streets, don't say nothing, and just allow them to just just escape in their psychological episodes. And sometimes these people possibly could harm other people. That is these are legitimate threats. But it's not to say or suggest that these people should be killed, murdered, or harmed. I'm just saying that the state need to step in, and if it takes them being heavy-handed in assisting these people and putting these people in straitjackets where they can't harm other people, it has to be done. I'm sorry, that's just where I stand on it.
Well, I'll just say the last word here because we got to move on. But that's fine for the state to step in and do those things. It's not fine for some white boy Marine to go and choke this man up and some black fella in the mix holding the man's hands. Of course, the guy's going to struggle. You're cutting off his oxygen. You're going to kill him in a 15-minute bear chokehold. We got to be mindful of what we say. That adds to the narratives of what we saw in the original video with that white woman, like that had RBG so upset with that white woman and them creating this narrative. You understand? We have to be very careful how we add to that narrative too.
Can I say something?
Yeah, make it quick. I got to move on to the next talk.
Yo, for another thing that we need to, Eric Adam needs to be blamed for all of this. Eric Adam and the mayor previously, the subways were getting worse for a while. Sorry, they had a lot of homeless people and a lot of mentally unstable people in there. He didn't do nothing. To me, they're letting this shit go on like this so they could come and implement their draconian rule or to raise the freaking train fare. At the end of the day, what was very disturbing to me is I saw you said there was a black man. I saw 3 white men holding a brother down. And I don't care what people tell me. Me and Goku we take the train all the freaking time. We hear this. You don't get to kill somebody because they made threats. At all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, if you guys look at the community tab, I put up, I'm pretty sure on the community tab, there's the picture. You see the black guy in the baseball hat. So, yeah, there's a black guy in the mix there. Good discussion. Good discussion. Let's just be mindful of how we add to these other people's narratives, because there's a bunch of white folks who are homeless. I don't see no Marines choking them out, for 15 minutes. So let's be careful about that stuff. Should read topic number